وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just to recap, we've spoken a few times now. The first night we talked about how everything happens for a reason, and now we have a great opportunity here to really make ourselves better in terms of as people and our representation for who we're about in our day-to-day lives. The second thing we talked about is understanding why Imam Hussein alayhi salam stood for what he believed in. Why did he even leave Mecca to begin with, and what did that really mean, and how we can honor him by taking care of two simple things. Number one, our prayers, and two, our relationships with our parents. The third thing I talked about was believing in who you are as a person and understanding the importance of a great friend and how they can influence you one way or another. And that the friends of Imam Hussein obviously won because they had the best influence and others didn't. Tonight is the night of Ali al-Akbar, which is obviously the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The one thing that's well known about him that I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about is that he was the closest person, whether it's characteristics, whether it's the way he carried himself, the intelligence, all around in all aspects of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the saying is that if they missed the Prophet, that they would look at Ali to remind them of the Prophet, to get a refresher of the Prophet. So it just kind of shows you what kind of a guy I'm talking about and what kind of a guy we're honoring tonight. And a few things that really a point that happened that I want to be able to really take a lesson from, that I really believe applies to all of our lives. So on the way from Karbala, or from Mecca to Karbala, Imam Hussein stopped, retracted his steps, said a few things, sounded doubtful in a sense. So his son asked him, what's wrong? He said, I heard a saying, and I'm going to try to translate this as best as I can. English definitely doesn't do Arabic justice. He says, I heard a saying or a voice that the destiny or the death of the people are walking alongside the journey, or alongside the people taking the journey. So he's basically saying that he heard a voice that's telling him that these people are going to die, right? That we're going to die. And everyone knows that already. So he asked them, Dad, are we not just? Are we not doing what's right? So he swears to him and tells him, of course we are. So then he tells him, well, why worry? Whether we fall on death or death falls on us, we're just. There's nothing to fear. Again, mind you, this guy, this person, is in his 20s. This isn't a 50-year-old wise man. This is a late 20s kind of guy. And I think that that's really easy to say. What he said is very logical and it makes sense, and all of us would say the same thing. The thing about it though is that when you're actually placed in the position where you're facing death, very few people would actually say that. Very few people would think this way. So the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because obviously him saying these things are a great reflection of how much faith he has. He really doesn't know what's ahead of him. He's not like Imam Hussein, because Imam Hussein is very knowledgeable of what's going to happen. He's been told by his dad, by his grandfather, and he's an imam, so he has access to things that Ali al-Akbar doesn't have access to. But he has a level of faith to where he tells them, don't worry. Whatever happens, happens because we're right. The reason why I want to talk about faith, because no matter what religion you believe in, nothing is ever going to always make 100% sense. And it's not always going to be logical. No religion will ask you that. There's always faith that's asked for, because there's things that are unexplainable. And that's understandable because it's religion. It's asking you to believe. And the reason why I say that is because for me, this isn't necessarily a studied breakdown of how I think, but this is the way I think, and I hope it helps some of you think this way. But you have to start with understanding why there must be a God. There has to be. Things are just too good, too precise, too put together for there to not be a God. There's just no way. And even in the Quran it says, do they not look into themselves for their creation? Like you can look at yourself, look at how you operate, look at every system that you're made of. There's no way to think that that just made from an explosion. That obviously has its reason and way of being. And the conversation of how we can prove that there's a God can continue for days and for weeks, and that doesn't really do us justice. The point is understanding that there must be a God. So then I want to tackle, there's three main religions, right? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And the thing about it is, for me, and we have to understand that each religion was brought by someone, either Moses, Jesus, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you think about these three religions and you break them down, my logical explanation for why I'm a Muslim is simply because my religion explains the other two. The other two can't explain my religion. Does that make sense? So let me explain what I mean by that. I understand why Judaism exists because I believe in Moses. I believe in his powers and him splitting the seas and turning water into blood. I believe in that, and I believe that that's what he needed at that given time to be believed as a prophet. The second phrase is Jesus. I believe that he healed. I believe that he rose people from the dead with God's power. I believe in all of that. Again, that's what he needed at the time to be believed. But none of these two religions can explain to me why a person in the middle of the desert has a book that has never been wrong and has predicted things to be 1,400 years ahead of its time, even if thousands of years ahead of its time. No one can explain to me that prophet. So that's why it makes sense to me that I'm a Muslim, because all the other religions are explained in my religion. When I talk to a Christian, he can't explain my religion. Does that make sense? So that's the second part of it. The key is, why do I talk about this? I'm not a sheikh and I'm not a sayyid. I'm way below that, trust me, and I have my flaws. But my simple message is that I have that simple faith to give me the power and the strength to implement God's religion day to day when things don't make sense. I don't know why catfish is haram. I don't know. I have no idea. I just know it's haram, so I don't eat it. People say pork is bad for you, but I really don't know the logistics of why. But I just know it's haram, and I don't do it. Because that's not the point. My point is because I believe there's a God and I believe in the Prophet, that I don't do these other things. So that's the first point, is really believe in your faith, right? Have the faith to begin with and understand what you're believing in, because it doesn't make sense to me for you to be a specific religion because of your parents or because you grew up this way. That doesn't help you in any way. You got to understand why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, you guys are smart people, you're intelligent. God gave you a brain to think with, but I have to think with that, or else I'm just literally following. And for me, I'm not that. The second point is, there's a quote that I hold dear to my heart. It says, what would you do today if tomorrow was not promised? What would you do today if tomorrow was not promised? Simple quote. What would you do today if tomorrow was not promised? I say this second quote because most of us do things when it's too late. We do things when things have already passed. We appreciate the people we love when we lose someone. We appreciate certain things after we lose it. But to me, that's not true appreciation. Appreciation is appreciating something when you have it, not after you lose it. That's pretty logical. Everybody will appreciate something they lose. But it's appreciating what you have today. And I say that because each and every one of you in here, including myself, when I was preparing the speech, I thought of tens of thousands of things probably that I could be doing better or differently. It's just about starting with one today. Don't wait tomorrow. Today is promised, tomorrow isn't. You're here right now. Start with it today. Make a difference today, not tomorrow, today. But that one little thing today, tomorrow, the day after, you accumulate a week of success, a month of success, a year of success, and then that's how you end your life with a success. Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam didn't say that saying just then. He had a great life leading up to that point. Everyone that's being remembered for thousands of years didn't just do one good deed that day. They had an accumulation of things that they did that led them to that decision. What would you do today if tomorrow is not promised? Start with a good deed. Start with doing one right thing at a time. And understand that all that starts with having good faith, but all that good faith has to come from here and then here, in order to really be able to get done what you need to get done. أسأل الله أن يقبل أعمالكم وأفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.